Hello and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker and I'm the program coordinator for the Office of Parent and Family Affairs here at the University of Maryland. For those that are new, this webinar series is intended to help you become informed consultants on campus resources. If you remember our office's presentation during orientation, we like to say that during the normal course of events, there is no problem that can arise at the University of Maryland that a student cannot solve using the many resources available to them here. Hopefully you've joined this webinar because you're interested in learning more about advising or about what advising entails and ways to help your Terp through this process. To assist us with that, we are joined by Ashley Brown and Marshall Payne-Gassaway from the Office of Letters and Sciences. Throughout this webinar, please feel free to submit questions through the chat or Q&A features, and we will do our best to respond to those questions before the end of the webinar. With that, I will hand off the presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon. We'd like to take a moment to share with you what to expect from academic advising, particularly as it pertains to the Office of Letters and Sciences. We will be discussing academic advising and student transitioning, major course exploration and degree requirements, university and campus resources, and then leave time for questions and answers. So what is Letters and Sciences? Letters and Sciences is the advising home for undergraduates who are typically deciding on a degree granting major or who are in the process of completing degree requirements for one of the university's limited enrollment programs here. One of the things that you will come to see is that in the Office of Letters and Sciences, we have a commitment to academic success. We want to ensure that our students are not only admitted to the university, but they transition to the appropriate major as well. Because of that, we have mandatory advising with all of our students. We do this so that we can, in fact, gain familiarity with our students, help understand the preparation that they, in fact, have had coming from high school, but also ensure to establish a plan so that they, in fact, can transition to the intended major of their choice. This happens through our mandatory advising meetings with students, which typically are a minimum of 2 per semester. However, there are times where students will meet with us more often than then. One of the things that we focus on is helping our students grow and develop. So we actually develop that partnership and ensure that they're being accountable for the things that they're doing in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. We also want to ensure that there is an awareness of the learning styles because not all students learn the same way, and we want to take that into consideration. But we also want to help students balance and prioritize the things that are important, both inside of the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. And this is important because our goal is to ensure that we empower students so that they can, in fact, be societal contributors as they move through this transition. So let's talk about our approach. We in the Office of Letters and Sciences have a comprehensive and holistic approach. We want to ensure that we're helping our students transition and plan to the appropriate major. We know that some students have strengths and abilities in certain areas, and so we want to ensure that they actually are meeting those needs. We also want to ensure that students are understanding and we're helping them to identify majors and to fulfill degree requirements that will help them transition to their intended majors smoothly, whether that transition is to one of the university's limited enrollment programs or whether it is to one of the university's vast other majors. Having more than 90 different majors at the university as well as minors, there are lots of opportunities for students to explore. So we want to ensure that they are able to explore those possibilities and to truly take advantage of the vast resources that we have here at the University of Maryland. As we talk about holistic and comprehensive advising, one of the things that we know is that major selection and interest exploration is very, very important. We want to ensure that if a student is perhaps interested in a certain set of classes, that may not translate, in fact, to a student selecting that as a major. So helping to make them to explore the different selections of courses that they can, in fact, gear towards an interest area versus a major. We also know that we have to capitalize on students' knowledge and skills. A student may, in fact, be very interested and have strength in certain areas, and so we want them to be able to, in fact, take courses in those particular areas. But we also emphasize jobs and internships and career exploration. And for that reason, we will have students that participate in a number of different activities on campus, whether it was the university's Career Center or whether it is through guided opportunities that an advisor may, in fact, work with them to ensure that they're meeting their needs. Now let's talk about understanding academic advising and how working within the Office of Letters and Sciences, students are able to fulfill degree and major requirements. Students at the University of Maryland, all students in fact, must complete general education requirements. And that actually constitutes about a third of the degree requirements here that make up part of the university's degree requirements. Students also must complete major requirements. There are times where, in fact, those major requirements will overlap with some of the university's general education requirements. Part of the university's requirements is also that there may, in fact, be electives. And students will, in fact, fulfill some of those elective requirements, taking classes that may be of interest. They can be a number of different courses, everything from other classes such as learning sign language, but also opportunities for them to participate in other classes that may be of interest. Once a student has in fact taken their general education requirements, their major requirements, fulfilled electives, they will then get to that minimum 120 degree credits. And our goal in the Office of Letters and Sciences is to have students in fact take general education requirements that will often overlap with particular major requirements along the way. So how do we help students plan for that experience? There are things that we do with our newly admitted students and things that we in fact do with our current students. All of our Letters and Sciences students must attend orientation. During the orientation process, it is an opportunity for us to ensure that students are actually registered for the appropriate classes so that they in fact can transition or explore the interest areas that they want to pursue. They receive academic advising from an advisor who in fact has looked at their degree requirements, has done a fair amount of research in terms of what the student may be strength-wise in terms of meeting certain areas. They will meet with these academic advisors during orientation and make sure that they're picking out the best courses possible. Now, once a student comes to the University of Maryland, they will in fact have an assigned advisor. And that assigned advisor may differ from the individual who they met during orientation. They will complete advising requirements because that is mandatory. One of the things that we like to ensure is that students, in fact, are making that transition to a degree granting program. As much as they've been admitted to the University of Maryland, we expect them to be able to graduate in a timely manner as well. And so, throughout the semester, students who, in fact, are our current students will be meeting with their advisor at a minimal, as I repeat, a minimal of 2 times, but they will often meet many more times. During those meetings, they will actually have discussions about the courses that they're interested in taking, how they actually have completed certain other areas prior to coming to the university, as well as making sure that they complete what's known as an exploration activity. When we do the exploration activity, this is unique to our particular student. We want to ensure that the exploration activity that they in fact are going to be pursuing is something that's of interest to them. So for the interest of a student who is thinking about pre-med and opportunities after their undergraduate experience, we may have them meet with someone at the Reed York Health Professions Advising Office or another office on campus to ensure that they're making timely progress towards a degree. Again, these are requirements that are unique to each of the individual students that we'll make sure that we ask them, what are you interested in pursuing? And how may we help you meet those degree requirements? It will then help the students transition to the major, which may entail them attending a change of major workshop, but also some of the other intricate pieces of understanding what it is in that particular major. Given that the university offers more than 90 different majors and a host of minors that students can pursue, we also want to make sure that students are aware of their full breadth of opportunities that the Maryland campus has to offer. So for that newly admitted student experience, what does academic advising look like? There is targeted programming that we actually in fact have for that student who's contemplating, I want to come to Maryland, I in fact then come and I'm here. They will actually undergo a Meet Your College presentation. During that presentation at orientation, they will learn about general education requirements, academic offerings at the university, as well as course options, knowing which courses to select, knowing what type of load they may actually be taking on, but also knowing how certain requirements will in fact fulfill degree purposes. On the second day, they in fact will register for classes. They'll be meeting with an academic advisor who has looked at their coursework prior to their arrival, looked at the questionnaire that they in fact have completed, and then determine what courses would be appropriate for the student. On day 1, when they've underseen all the different presentations, the student will select certain courses, and on day 2, Prior to registration, the advisor will review that information to ensure that the courses a student has in fact selected will be appropriate for that student. So we help the student with their academic planning, but also make sure that we're making them aware of the different resources that in fact are available on campus. Staff are highly involved throughout this process. There is personalized academic advising, and we review their transcripts to ensure that in fact the courses that they have taken or that they're thinking of taking do not overlap. The last thing that we want to have a student do is to in fact repeat courses or repeat coursework for which they've already earned academic credit. So we do an in-depth analysis to ensure the student-specific recommendations that we're making in fact are appropriate, and they will help the student make their path to the appropriate major. So let's talk about the current student experience as it pertains to academic advising. Early in the semester, typically about the third or the fourth week of the semester, a student is assigned an academic advisor. That advisor will be working with that student one-on-one, again, to ensure that they transition to a degree granting program at the university. They will be expected the student to create a 4-semester plan, which will include major and general education courses. There are times, again, that those major and general education courses will overlap. And what we want to ensure is that we are able to ensure that students can explore their options, but making sure that they also hold off on those electives until later in their academic career. They will, in fact, do an exploration activity. And again, this is to help the students explore and determine which major is the best fit for them, but also to learn about the vast opportunities at Maryland. Again, with more than 90 different majors, we want to make sure that they have the greatest breadth of opportunities possible. But we also understand that that time from high school to college is one of transition. So the university offers a number of freshman seminars. We offer UNIV 100 series courses for those students that are interested in specific areas. If a student, say, is interested in just getting transition to the university, we have some basic UNIV 100 sections. If students are interested in more targeted areas, we also offer STEM and business exploration series seminars that are gearing to those particular areas as well. But no matter what, we want to ensure that students understand the importance of time management, transitioning to the institution, but also understanding what the university has to offer by way of opportunities and resources. And that is the crux of what we offer in the freshman seminar classes. So for that current student, we want to always ensure that the student has a working email, because most of what happens at the university is by way of email. So we encourage our students to check their emails regularly. One of the other things is we want to make sure that students are aware of the deadlines, making sure that they are aware the last day to register for classes, when to get in to meet with an academic advisor, and to know that we are always here and available to answer any questions that they may have. We want to ensure that students are in contact with their letters and sciences advisor with questions about their academic policies and other issues, because what we know and what we have a firm belief in is that a student is not just a student in the classroom, they're a student outside of the classroom as well. And if there are personal issues that are affecting that student, we want to ensure that we're addressing those issues as well. But most importantly, we want to ensure that students are completing their mandatory advising requirements. And again, this is a way for us to ensure that students are making timely progress towards degree, and the courses for which they've decided to take are the ones that are applicable to a major. So how can you help your student? Are there things that you can do as we go along this path? One of the things that we do is we would strongly encourage you to discuss the academic advising experience with your student. Ask them how things are going. We want to make sure that, in fact, things are progressing smoothly, and you should be aware of that. We also want to ensure that you can help your student by inquiring about how they're adjusting academically, socially, emotionally. What we know is that, again, this is quite a transition from high school to college, and we want to ensure that students are academically prepared. They're transitioning, they are making social friends and social connections, but they are also okay. And that's an important thing to make sure that your student is aware of. We want to ensure that there is contact information that is available and it's accurate, that they're always checking that information, and if in fact we need to reach out to them from the university, that we can do so. So please be certain to ensure that your students' contact information is as accurate as possible. And one of the most important things that you can do, ask your students open-ended questions. This allows them to expand, and no one knows your student better than you. If you discover that they're pausing or they're unable to answer questions, let them follow up. But again, open-ended questions are the key. So there may be some conversation starters that you could have with your students. Ask questions such as, what questions do you have for your advisor? Have you been in to meet with your advisor? Are there things that you may want to ask your advisor? Also feel free asking them, how are you adjusting to the semester? Are things going okay? Is your situation living in the dorms okay? And what about, how have you been adjusting to college life? Again, there is a transitional period because high school is vastly different from college, and students have to understand about managing time, understanding priorities, and understanding a whole different way of living their life on a college campus. Also feel free to ask, what was discussed during your advising appointment? Advisors take meticulous notes in terms of the things that they want students to do. There's not just a one-way conversation, it's a two-way conversation. And for all the information that students share with us, we in turn share other information with them. So feel free to ask your student, how did that conversation go? You can also feel free asking, how has it been creating and working on your 4-semester plan? Again, we do not take it a semester at a time. We want students to be intentional about their planning. We want to ensure that as they are looking forward to the next semester, it's not one semester at a time, but it's planning for the long term. Because again, if a student has in fact been admitted to the University of Maryland, we expect them to graduate from the University of Maryland in a timely manner. And of course, that is really dependent upon academic advising. If you are able to access the screen, you will see that there are several resources that we have available. Some key resources that all of our students are made available during our academic advising appointment. But you as a supporter and an advocate for your student are also aware of these different resources. The Office of the Registrar is where students will often get a lot of different pieces of information handled, but if they have any transcripts for advanced placement, international baccalaureate, or if they've taken college courses somewhere else, all of that information has to be forwarded to the university, and we suggest that students do that sooner as opposed to later. Students that are interested in the select number of limited enrollment programs that the university has available, we do have a resource available online that explains to a student step by step and all the different expectations that it has in terms of getting into one of the university's limited enrollment programs. Again, this is a very limited number of programs that the university has to offer that are limited enrollment programs in comparison to the more than 90 programs and opportunities that are available. If students are wondering about transferring credit to the university, we do have what's known as transfer credit services, and they were able to see how certain credits taken at certain entities will in fact transfer to the University of Maryland. That includes if they've in fact taken prior credit through AP and or IB. Testudo, that is where most of our interactive web services are housed. And so a student that in fact is going to be looking to get registered with classes, seeing what course selections the university has to offer, they can access that information online at Testudo, a very helpful site for all of our students. Students that are thinking about the health professions, they can actually go to the Health Professions Advising Office, and often the advisors in Letters and Sciences will in fact work very closely with our students to ensure that if they're thinking about pre-med, dental, nursing, many of those other areas, that we direct students so that they can work with someone who can also help them chart the path for not only their major here at Maryland, but also what happens after their major here at Maryland and going on to one of our professional programs. The Department of Resident Life is also helpful in terms of making sure that students understand about dorm life and what's available and things of that nature. So again, encourage your students to take advantage of that. University Health Center. We recognize that students will have many needs while on campus, and so we want to ensure that their needs are taken care of. And so they can take advantage of a full service health center, and if those needs are not taken care of there, then we'll refer them out appropriately. And then we also have the Counseling Center. Lots of resources and services are available to students. If they in fact have had prior accommodations, the Counseling Center will actually work with those students to ensure that whatever accommodations are necessary, that they can do. And then also free tutoring. The University of Maryland has a vast abundance of services and resources, but one of the great things is that we have free tutoring and free opportunities for students to take advantage of some of those services. So definitely feel free to encourage your students to also take advantage of those resources. Our goal here at the University of Maryland is to ensure that students are making the most of their journey. One thing that starts with the career here at the university, starting the path. They're going to be taking classes. They're going to be developing networks, working with advisors, seeking internships. And we will also be encouraging them to take advantage of internship opportunities and workshops, because ultimately we want to ensure that they have a smooth transition to graduation and then ultimately to their career. We appreciate you taking time to attend our webinar here at the University of Maryland. We are here at the Office of Letters and Sciences, and our contact information is available. University of Maryland, College Park. We can be reached at 301-314-8418, and we are accessible online. Send an email to LTSC_welcome, WELCOME@umd.edu. Also, this has been presented by the Office of Parent and Family Affairs, also at the University of Maryland, College Park. They too can be reached at 301-314-8429, and they are accessible at Terp Family, TERPFAMILY@umd.edu. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you all, our audience, for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. As we bring this webinar to a close, I'd like to remind everyone that a recording of this webinar will be available on the Terp Family YouTube page by the end of the day tomorrow. You can find a link to our YouTube page through our website, terpfamily.umd.edu. Again, that's terpfamily.umd.edu. If you'd like to rewatch this with another family member, you will also receive an email this afternoon asking for your feedback. So please let us know how we did and how we can improve on future webinars. We welcome your thoughts on this webinar, but also if you have suggestions for future webinars, please feel free to share that information with us. Thank you again for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.